Hello and welcome to our learning video about how to communicate better in the classroom. Today we will be looking at a sophisticated model which is very helpful for giving appreciative feedback so that the students can easily accept your message, which will enable them to learn better or to create a better learning environment in the classroom. We can use this model, for example, to provide feedback to a student who gets lost in details or one who dominates in class. If used properly, the model also gives the student a clear path for their personal development. In addition, the model helps to recognize differences in personal values and to see the positive side of a specific personal quality which without the model is typically perceived negatively. The model is called the square of value and development. Let's look at the model first using an example. The model consists of 4 squares. At the top you always find the positive values and characteristics, and at the bottom the exaggerations of the same positive value. Let's use the word thrifty to construct an example of a very clear square of value and development. Somebody who is thrifty is looking after his or her money. The money is spent thoughtfully and is not wasted. Being thrifty is clearly a good thing and a positive value or characteristic. Therefore, the word thrifty is written in the upper top left square. Thrifty. But when thriftiness is exaggerated, when it becomes too much of a good thing, then this positive quality quickly turns into a negative one. Thrifty turns into stingy, and nobody wants to be tight-fisted or stingy. The negative value is written in the bottom left square below the positive value. Stinginess or being tight-fisted is nothing other than too much of thriftiness. For thriftiness to appear really positive, in order to shine properly, it needs a positive counterpart, a positive counter value, which positively complements the quality thriftiness in the square. The positive counter value should be generous. Thriftiness can only shine when it is complemented by generosity. And now there is just one square left to complement, and that is the exaggeration of being generous. If someone is too generous, if generosity is exaggerated, then it slides into negative. Then it becomes wasteful. So wasteful is the last word we have to add. Now we have a complete example of a square of value and development. Let's look at the whole example again before I give you the construction manual. At the top we always find the positive values or quantities. The good quantity, being thrifty, becomes negative when it is exaggerated. Then it becomes being stingy or being tight-fisted. The complementing value to ensure thrifty is perceived positively is being generous. And when generosity is exaggerated, it becomes wasteful. As you can see, the square diagonally across from each other are opposites. The opposite of thrifty is wasteful, and the opposite of generosity is stingy. With this example in mind, let's now look at the construction manual of a square of value and development. When developing a square of value and development, the positive quality, the positive personal value and characteristic is always on the top left. This positive value needs a positive complementing value, a positive counter value or characteristic in order to reach its full positive quality. Therefore, the two upper square stands in a positive, balancing and complementing relationship. When the positive quality gets too much of a good thing, it develops into a devalued exaggeration and becomes a weakness. The same logic applies to the square at the right-hand side. Too much of a good thing eventually becomes a weakness. If the square of value and development is built correctly, there are always opposites. In the squares diagonally across from each other. At the end and during the process, you check that this is indeed the case to ensure that the squares are well balanced. In reality, it's often the case that you start at the bottom left, for example, with the weakness you want to give feedback about, and then you ask yourself, what is the good aspect of this weakness? By asking yourself, what is the positive aspect of this weakness, you find the positive quality for the top left square. This is the first step in developing the complete square of value and development, as explained earlier. Every weakness has a positive core, and when giving feedback, it is important to identify this positive core and to formulate your weakness in an appreciative way, to show the recipient of your feedback his or her direction of development. This learning opportunity can always be found at the top right square. Professional teaching uses the square of value and development to deliver a clear and appreciative feedback to students. We want to provide feedback which students can easily understand and accept in order to learn better. In our training, we will use this model in our teaching context to ensure that you can use it professionally. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks very much for watching. Your team at Isuzu Training Center Europe. Have a good day and bye-bye.